It's 6 a.m. I can set my watch when I see her walk past my home. She's been doing this every morning since we moved here 12 years ago. One morning I was outside early and spoke to her. I said something about 12 years and she said, no, it's been 25 years now. That was our only conversation. I watch her through my window. You know how sometimes you only notice something when you are distracted? You suddenly discover that the picture has been there for months, or that a thing that had become stable in a certain part of your life is missing, gone. Now you wonder, where is it? And when and why? But mostly, why didn't you notice that it was gone? It happened that way with her. Suddenly, I noticed that I didn't see her anymore. It was 6:30, and she didn't walk past my window at her usual time, and nothing. I waited, watched for several minutes until well outside of her time. So I noted the fact in my brain, thought about entering it into my calendar, but I really didn't care that much. I really didn't know her, not who she was, not her name, not where she lived. Oh, it must be up the road a piece, because after 25 minutes, she passed the house going in the other direction. But that was all I knew. She's not particularly attractive, somewhat athletic, and on the one day I did talk to her, she seemed even more plain than I had imagined through my window. The male brain at work. Even an old male brain. She seemed to be in her mid to late 50s, but that could be a wide miss. When I first noticed that she wasn't there, I had no idea how long it had been. Was this the first day? Had it been a week, a month? Who knew? Was she on holiday? Was she ill? Would she be back in a few days? Had she moved? This is not a transient community. I began to actively wonder what could have become of her. For the next few days, I paid attention. I carefully watched at 6:30, and I made sure to start my watching at 6:25. Nothing. Why did I care? What difference did it make? Her status was absolutely immaterial to my happiness, my well-being, my satisfaction, my future, my life. So why did I make certain that I was at my window every morning at 6:30, or really 6:25, just to be sure? And then it came to me. With all the resources available to me, the internet, social media, search engines, my friends, people who have lived here for a long time, my knowledge of the neighborhood, I was at a loss about how to find out who she was, or is, or anything else about her. It was a sudden implosion of helplessness. And I don't like that. Across the lake, the one that is down the hill from our house, the lake that she passes every morning, or used to, a jogger was raped and murdered a couple of years ago. The perp was arrested and convicted and is awaiting execution. But that kind of event changes the way you look at things. It nags at me. What has happened? And how long has it really been since she stopped walking past my window? 2 weeks? Who knows? If it's a trip, a holiday, a vacation, she should be returning any day, but it could have been much more than 2 weeks. I have a routine in the mornings. 2 mugs of coffee, checking email and stocks, other things that take about an hour. Then I usually go to the gym to work out. I'm not a walker. The rest of my day is pretty normal: writing, painting, cooking, planning a trip, taking a nap, sometimes 2. However, this change, this gap in my morning routine, not being able to watch the woman walk past, is troubling. And no matter how hard I try, I can't dismiss the feeling. Even the fragrant, steaming black coffee does not dispel my sense of unease. I decide to take a short walk to see if perhaps she has simply changed her route, although I think that is unlikely. We are such creatures of habit. Perhaps she has sustained an injury of some sort and is avoiding the hills. I walk up the hill and around the block, the street nearest the lake, and I see nothing. I notice several other walkers, pairs, singles, and small groups, some with dogs, some for exercise, some for air. And there's one man who walks along reading the newspaper, drinking coffee, and walking his dog. I nod, but I don't say anything. I wonder if they notice too. But I don't ask. What would I say? 2 more days pass, and she still hasn't reappeared. I walk again, and this time I go further and stay out longer, hoping to see her ahead of me or going in the opposite direction, but nothing. And I wonder what I would say if, make that when I see her again. One afternoon, I decide to go out, not with the hope of seeing her. She never walks then, but the thermals in the afternoon make it possible for the turkey buzzards, the vultures, to fly and search the hills and the brush for food. They're out in force, making their fluttering orbits, never needing to flap their wings. Marvelous flyers, shitty diet. If there was a large feast for them somewhere, it would be easy to track them, to see the activity and frenzy. But nothing larger than a ground squirrel or a vole or a gopher is getting their attention, so I dismiss that possibility. I check the Homeowners Association website. Nothing. I'm not surprised. Only the occasional break-in or spat between neighbors about the view blocked finds its way there. There is a continuing background niggling sense of loss. I must think, what can I do? Where can I look to try to find something out? I have great resources at my disposal, but I can't figure out how to apply them. I check to see if names are available for the homeowners in our neighborhood, and I find that they are, but I don't have enough information to use the list. I don't have an address, I don't have a name or anything else, only an approximate location, not enough to be useful. The mailman might know. I see him one afternoon and catch up with him. I ask if he knows the woman who walks early in the morning. He has a blank stare, shakes his head slightly and says, "No." I know what he's thinking. What do you ask me? How should I know? I'm here in the afternoon, not in the mornings. And why do you want to know anyway? What do you care? And even if I knew, I couldn't tell you. He doesn't say anything. The feeling of loss intensifies. The fear of lack of control increases. I have a constant sense of impending doom, of subtle dread. I begin to personalize my feelings. What if it was me that suddenly went missing? Would anyone notice or care? How long would it take? Could they put together enough information to trace me? The mailman would remember. And he could give them my name, and close neighbors know me, but I only know her from the middle of her walk, from her routine, not where she begins or ends her walk. That makes it a very confusing mystery. I'm at my desk. It's where I belong. I'm comfortable here. It's an environment that I have created. I gaze out the window, and I'm suddenly brought back from my daze. There she is! I lurch back in my chair, and I almost fall over. I stand up, and my pulse races. I want to dash outside and talk to her, find out where she's been, tell her about my fears, my inability to trace her. Then reality emerges. She has no idea who I am. She would be surprised and probably worried about my attention, my stalking almost, but of course it isn't really. I decide I'll walk a few days, perhaps pass her going the other direction, nod, say hello, then perhaps engage her in a conversation. But how will she feel? I retreat from my plan. I retreat from even considering approaching her. I walk for a few days and then return to my routine, email, coffee, the gym. And she will never know that for a few brief days, someone she doesn't know exists, was concerned about her, cared about her, wanted strongly to interact with her. She will never know. But I guess I will never forget. For the next couple of months, I see her every morning like clockwork. Then she disappears again, and I haven't seen her since.
Give it up for Ron Pickett.